Welcome to Simon King, ex-head coach of Aberavon RFC, ex-Caerphilly coach, ex-Tondy coach, and ex-Pontypridd coach. I think so. It's a pleasure to have you on. Spent 7 seasons at Aberavon RFC. Basically, I guess let's get stuck into it. You were quite successful at Aberavon. Had one cup final against your old team, as I said, against Pontypridd. So let's start there. Good cup tradition, really, at Aberavon. I think 4 maybe semi-finals, with one including the final, of course. What's your memories from that cup final or that season leading up to the cup final, etc.?
Well, I think I was fortunate at Aberavon. Aberavon always were a good cup side. I mean, they got lots of semi-finals, and you just tap into that tradition really, and the boys really lapped it up. And I think we were good enough to win a cup, really. And 1 or 2 things had gone our way. I think we deserved to, without trying to paint a pretty picture on it. Funny enough, I was looking at, I went on YouTube to look at the final when we played Pontypridd, and I forgot they only filmed Pontypridd. I didn't realise they didn't film Aberavon at all. Yeah. So after a while, I got pretty bored with that. I thought, well, we played quite well in that as well. Yeah. And I think that day, a couple of decisions, a couple of moments, could well have won it. And I felt for the boys because, people within that squad certainly deserved to get that done, really. They were a very hard-working bunch of boys, and we built towards that. And, by a sort of a small margin, we didn't come up with a result. And I always feel sorry for the players, really, and the club, because they were well supported, and it was tough to take. But it was a great experience, and, I'm sure the club will go back and do it again.
How does, as a coach, again, I guess, how does team selection for that cup final, how does it change from a week-to-week normal game to, okay, we're in the cup final. We haven't been in the cup final for 30 odd years or whatever it was. How does that look for you then, or cast your mind back?
I think you start to prioritise it, Swank. You realise once you're getting close. I think, to be honest as well, we were very unlucky in a few semi-finals as well. And you learn from that experience. You have to learn from it. You really do. And like I said, I've been lucky. I've been at 3 finals. I lost 2, but those experiences helped me win 1 as well. Because it's not as easy as people think it is. I think that a lot of clubs now prioritise that cup. Yeah. Particularly in the Premiership, which I think has been up and down over the years. But the good sides will prioritise it as a target of winning. I think people like Cross Keys and Bridgend have gone to win it, and Neath have done it. So I think we got very close, and the selection was. And I think the players as well are aware of that. I think they know. I think if you're 4th or 5th in the league, you start to think, well, where are we going to get the big success? And the cup becomes a priority for them as well. Yeah. So it's a tough decision. You make, some people are happy, some people are sad, but you have to try to manage it appropriately.
You just alluded to it then. I'll flicker back and forth, obviously, between teams that you've coached and stuff, but the cup final that you won, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Di Flanagan drop goal one? Yeah. So from what I remember, there was quite a tense couple of 10 minutes towards the end. Can you reflect on that?
Well, I think one of the reasons we won it is, I really believe, is because we lost the year before. Okay. And as a coach, to lose to Llanelli was the toughest one of all, because we were so far in front, and they made a couple of changes that swung the game their way. And if I'm honest, I probably made poor decisions then in terms of the bench and that. And they went on and they beat us in like the 10th minute of injury time. And we sort of made a promise up there then that we'd go back the next year if we could and put it right. And I don't know if the gods were smiling on Ponty, but we won it in the last 10 minutes then as well, of injury time. So that was just total credit to those boys. And I think as coaches, we managed that far better than we did the year before. I thought, this is what it's going to be like, but it's not that easy. But Flanagan to do what he did, because everybody forgets the year before Flanagan hit the post with a penalty to win it. Okay. He did. He missed the post with the last kick of the game, and I thought that Di Flanagan was going to go on and be a very good player at regional level, but he never ever clicked on, because I think he was poorly managed. I think winning the cup final, he was Cock of the North. He was the best man. And, you know, he could have gone on in and done really successful things, but then different coaches looked at him in different ways, and his senior career fell off. You know, I think the same when we talk later about people like Ashley Beck. Yeah. You know, I always thought Ashley Beck would go on and have, I don't know how many caps, you know, and I think that they, again, regional rugby, I don't think they managed him well, but no, it was good. That was a good day. Obviously, Di winning it. I was probably more upset winning it than losing it. It's funny. Like emotionally, you get more upset. Strange, isn't it?
Why is that?
Because I thought it was a strange one. I always remember phoning my old man from the stadium, because the year before everybody hated me, which is, you know, you did that, especially in Ponty, you know, and then winning it, sort of be very emotional talking to my father. It's strange. I couldn't put the two and two together. Yeah. Plus, because it was the relief for doing it, you know. And I said back with that with the Wizards, I thought we would. People forget how close we were. You know, I don't forget our forward pass that Sean Bickle called. You know, I listen to him on the telly now as a fourth official, and I think I can't swear on you, but I think call you Sean Bickle. Yeah. Forward pass, he was never forward, you know. And I think because I think it was Carter would have scored. If Carter had scored then, I think we'd have won it. I really do.
So how you just mentioned it then? I just want to pick your brains on it. 4 cup finals, you said. Was it 4 yet?
3.
3 cup finals. And again, as I know as a player, as a coach as well, that the cup is what you want to win. So how difficult is it for you? Going back 2 years in a row is pretty a good achievement, whether you won or lost. You know, that journey to get to the cup final is something alone, isn't it? Rather than winning the cup.
Yeah.
So what's your thought process at the beginning of the season, and how do you manage that moving forward in a typical season to try and get to the cup final?
I think Pontypridd and Aberavon very, very similar. You know, I think we both targeted the cup anyway, because it's a vehicle for success. Yeah. You manage it. You obviously your league, and I think we were quite successful in Aberavon in our league places as well. You know, once you consolidate yourselves, it becomes easier, and your stock raises. I mean, you know, Pontypridd, obviously they became a cup side, but people forget that they didn't win a lot of cups. Certainly, it sort of rattles with me. I think they won a cup in '96.
Yeah, I remember.
I think it was
Nigel Banzani, wasn't it?
Chief and Johns who I coached with, and they were like, and they all went on about that. And we won it in 2006, and I was always frustrated they never remembered it as much. You know what I mean? They like, you know, I thought that was an harder one to win in 2006 because of the players, you know. And in Aberavon, over that sort of 5-year period, I suppose, when we were punching well, we developed a side that people didn't want to play. And then I developed such a confidence in the team that the balance would be right. You know that some players would come in and do a job for some games, and other players would fill in. And the character of the cup created. And one thing about Aberavon's squad was that I always felt that the competition with places was outstanding. You know, you remember we used to train behind the posts. It was hardly idyllic up there. I think the sessions there were really fundamental in developing that spirit. When people didn't want to play against Aberavon, people didn't see what went on there. You know, the battles we had with Steve to get on the field actually did us a favour, because training up on a song was, you know, gave us a strength of character to go and beat. You know, we won some tough games away in the cup, Aberavon, and you go to places and win away is difficult. You know, the Llandudno semi-final, you know, that was hard, but Cardiff in one of the cups quarterfinals, you know, they were tough places to go.
Yeah. Do you remember? It must have been your first year, obviously. So you would have gone to the cup final with Ponty the year before. Then your first year at Aberavon, the first cup game was against Tredegar away. Yeah, that's right. And that was pretty nip and tuck, wasn't it? So,
that was.
Were you nervous then, thinking, "Oh God"?
Well, I knew how hard it was going to be, and you know, because of my age, Swang, I can remember how tough it was to go to Tredegar. I can't remember.
I think it was
it was Tredegar. Who got knocked out? Who was the prop for us?
Magic.
I remember he stuck his chin out in Tredegar and thought, well, he should have done that, really, Magic. I mean, whoever that was in Tredegar, I mean, I sat him right on his backside. But again, there's a strength of character within the squad. A fair play to Magic, he thought he could do it. He couldn't. The side, you know, sort of from those type of performances, then you start to build on that journey. If you can go to Tredegar and win, then you know there's something within that squad that'll take you further. The score, mate. Some of the bigger games are much easier than going places like that. So yeah, I remember that, and it was a tough. I think that first year as well. I think we lost a party in the semi, didn't we?
Yeah.
But
Cardiff.
Cardiff, sitting next to Dale, which was very enjoyable.
Well, that brings us nicely into the beginning, really, of your Aberavon journey. So, can you just shed some light into, I guess, how you got to Aberavon? You're successful at Pontypridd, and then you next thing you're head coach at Aberavon. So, talk to us through how that came about, and then your early memories of the beginning of being head coach.
Well, I remember obviously having a conversation with a couple of people, Andrew being one of them, and it sort of dovetailed. It's nice to be, you're a coach now, so it's nice to be in charge of your own destiny. So it took a lot of, it was like when I went to Ponty, I went from Cross Keys, and again, it was an easy fit because it was a step, and I thought Aberavon was a step in the right direction because it was, the potential there. It was a time to step away from it. You started thinking, like, well, where else can you go in that journey up there? And I thought it was the right time, I'd obviously talked to Nicky Lloyd, who was part of that trip as well. And I just thought, well, let's go and give it a go. We came and watched a couple of games. I remember speaking with yourself I was a little bit further into it, I suppose. But the potential was there. It's a great, obviously, you know the place. It's another one of those grounds. I think in my career, all the grounds in Wales are excellent. It's all facilities. I used to think Cross Keys was next. Caerphilly, Cardiff, and they've all got history, which is a heritage and a tradition you lap into. So it wasn't a difficult decision. The only thing that sort of muddied the waters then was that Leicester thing that was in there as well. But we put that to bed. And I remember going to meet Andrew in pump supplies and saying, look, and he was saying, if you want to, you do. When I was committed then, I made that commitment and happy to do it, I remember losing the first game at home to Llanelli. I remember Scarf getting sent off.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I got quite a good, I got quite a good a memory of things. And, from there then we started to build in it. It takes time. And I think that's the beauty of, if you're a coach, you've got to have the support of people who will give you time.
Well, firstly, you brought me to Aberavon. It was at a period of my rugby career, my journey, where I was questioning continuing with rugby, etc. So first and foremost, I'm thankful and I'm grateful that you invested time in me and brought me at Aberavon, because I'm obviously still working there now, and you've pretty much was instrumental in my career up until date. So, which leads me to my question of, where do you go about recruitment, or what do you identify in Aberavon at the time as, okay, we need this, we need that, we need this type of character, etc. So where does your rebuilding or building start?
Obviously with Aberavon, it was always based up front, so you knew. And when you said to me, you were picking a team, when I look at the forwards and the players they had of that ability, you could pick 3 teams, 4 teams out of it. With yourself, I always told you that the reason, obviously you played age grade rugby and what have you, but I always remember you played against Cross Keys. I always said that when you got injured, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
I always thought you to go to Cross Keys and put a shift in like you did. Everything is similar to the question you said about Tredegar in the Cup. If you go up there and earn your spurs, I thought, you were well worth it. And, to be honest, when you got in there, you made the most of it, because it wasn't an easy transition going in there, because they are at any rugby club where they'll be tight knit, there'll be cliques, there'll be people, and that's always a difficult to get into that changing room. You have to work, and hat off to you that you've done that. It's like I went Dick Amidis had a testimonial, and I coached the team for him up in Ponty, and I said to him all in the changing room how impressed I was that he had managed to do what he's done up there. Phenomenal, I never thought he ever would. I thought he'd go up and have a couple of games and take me out. So strength of character comes from within. So that's the strength you got. And then you've got to tie into the people who were there, sort of into Aberavon, and immediately somebody like Bud there, you knew you could hang your hat on it, on him. You know, and if you can get into those Bud and Trigger and those guys, and George, and get them on side, and you win half the battle, because they will always be core to it. So you play to those strengths. Lloydie brought a lot to the party behind as well, because there's only two of us here then. I think you got 48 coaches in Aberavon now, haven't you?
Yeah, we'll skip that one.
Right, but it's like, and get the balance right then, and play to their strengths, and you know, you've got to be a bit of a storyteller. You know, I always remember telling Buddha, you know, he'd definitely play in the back row. I don't think he ever played in the back row the whole time I was there.
No, I don't think he did.
Maybe once, like, you know. So I got away with that one, like. But again, he was a captain, you know, like yourself, the captain, and then you hang your hat on it, and then you go with the flow, really.
I'm flicking in and out on things there. It was my next subject, really, about you as a coach being such a good storyteller, and such a person where you create a vision, and that's why I felt that you were as a coach. You know, obviously you're an excellent coach first and foremost, rugby wise, but that coach then, away from that side of things, an excellent storyteller. Yeah. And I think that really grasps the motivation of players. Yeah. And I certainly look back and think, well, you know, that's where Kingy was good, etc. But you must take a lot of pride, really, I guess, in the players. So not just coaching here across Keys, Ponty, Aberavon, but the players you've brought through who have not necessarily under your radar anymore. People now, Costello, Reffel, people like myself as well, coming back to Aberavon, Sam Williams, Dick Amides, as you just mentioned, Strongy, somebody you brought along. Yeah. So I could go on, really, and probably down to you, really, about their success in the centre, really.
That's nice. I think what you're saying, Ed, is, I think, you know, I agree with what you're saying. I think I'm an okay coach, to be honest with you. I think, you know, technically, what you have to do is you lap into people like yourself. To be a good coach, you have to do that. If you think you are the be all and end all of it all, you'll fall flat on your ass. So you have to draw from the strengths of the people in there. And I was always, same as you, I was always fortunate. I mean, I had great coaches, you know, when I was a kid, you know, people like Leighton Davis, who sadly died this year from Cardiff College, you know, John Lloyd, and, you know, all the people who, and what you do is, and I'm sure you do it, you take a bit off all those. Yeah. You have to, because and what you have to do, Swank, is you have to, while you're there in sit, you make the most of it. Yeah. Because it's the best place to be. It is the best, that environment, rugby, you know, to me, is to be in that environment with those people. It's a privilege. So I always took it as a privilege. I never took it as a chore. And I always learn at the end, when that journey comes to an end, if you can't, shake hands. You know, shake hands with people. I mean, you know, I had a very interesting time in Nice, you know, for 4 or 5 months.
I forgot about Nice.
But I don't regret that, because it was something that, and again, all those players, and it was just the politics and everything in there. But it's it's an experience I wouldn't, you know, there's lots of things I could tell you, but I've never come out publicly about that, but I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed that because you're there with the players. And when you see the players go out there and you see them, but there was one thing I was telling you this time, I was trying to look at the players. So I went online and looked, and there was a picture of Gaddy and Chalky on the field after we'd beaten Cardiff up there in the Cup.
Right.
And I thought, what a great photograph that was, you know. It was really impressed. And I was lucky to work with Chalky and Neath. Yeah. You know? I was, you know, again, I think you got a future doing that as a manager. I just thought he was, you know, and we had some great times, you know, some of the funny stories with Chalky, you know, phoning me up, asking me if I was ready for him to come down and see me and things like that, you know. you know that story, yeah? Yeah, you know, that was a surprising one, but, you know, that's what you do, and you sit down, and I like to think as a coach, you let the players get on with it. There are times when, you know, and you look back and you think, oh, was I right? But you can't question yourself too much, because you have to, at the time, you think it's right, you know? And it's a big man to say I was wrong.
I just spoke about some players are named, but whilst myself was at Aberavon, we had a group of, I guess, Osprey players that were coming through at the time. So your Ashley Beck, your Tiprick, your James King, your Ben John. Excuse me if I miss more, but those four I clearly remember as players who regularly played for Aberavon. Yeah. So what was it like seeing those boys and playing your part really in their development? Because, well, Tiprick maybe something, but Becky for me was seeing Becky come on as a 17-year-old was different gravy. He was different.
You know, people always we just know they're good rugby players. Right. And I'm a massive believer in those boys were given an opportunity to play in a club which did them so much good. It made them better as players. It made them better as people. Yeah. And if you meet them, they feet are firmly on the ground. And I think that's where we muddied the waters in Wales. Lots of these boys go into those environments and don't get to play. You look at it, there's a Kieran Williams now that needs centre. When I was in, he only played once, but you knew what a good guy he was. You know, and he wanted to play and they wouldn't let him. And there's lots of examples. You know, it's like when Becky did cross the bridge to the Ospreys, how long he didn't play rugby for. Yeah. To me, that was ridiculous. You know, we scratching our heads looking for front row forwards all around Wales. Well, get those academy props out and play them. You know, get them out onto the field and play them in those environments. Because they bought into it. To me, I always remembered, like when I was in Ponty and contemporary of you was Rhys Shellard.
Yes.
And I'm having a very frank conversation on the phone with Di Young, who basically threatened me because we were overplaying Rhys. And I get on, because I coached the under-18s with Di, so I know Di. But he was so, and I was like, oh, I'm picking him. Like, you know, and he was like, it's not about Pontypridd, it's about, you know,
I can imagine.
You have those, and we did have those type of conversations as well with the Ospreys. Right? I thought for a period, we had a good relationship with the Ospreys where they came and trained with us. Yeah. You know, I thought, well, Tandy's done all right for himself, hasn't he? You know, and they came into, and I think more of that needs to be done. And I think they then appreciate, you know, what goes on. Have we ever met Toby Booth?
I haven't met him yet. No. But
by all accounts, because Strong, obviously I talked about Morgan Strong.
Yeah,
who's got a future. Good luck to the kid. Speaks very highly of him, you know. And I think that those connections have to be made more often. And those, because you were the boy, I know Beard had played for you and stuff like that. They got to play. They have to play, and then we have an identity. You know, then we have, because if you don't do that, you're gonna, you know, especially with rugby coming back, you're gonna struggle because people just don't want to come and watch.
Yeah, true. My last couple of questions before we get stuck into your all-time Wizards team is...
I've changed it now 4 times talking to you.
I bet you have, just like your team selection on the weekend, I bet. I was talking to Steve about this the other day. We were talking about team selection, and he said, Kingy would give me a piece of paper on Tuesday. It would change twice by the Thursday, and then he'll change it again pre-announcement, and then change it. He said change it so many times. But anyway... You spoke about Wales under-18s then. That must have been pretty special as well to be involved in that and seeing some youngsters, attracting youngsters to that environment and seeing them move on. So you must have been coached a lot of youngsters. And...
That's a massive privilege, yeah. So, you know, to be given that opportunity. And I've been done it for 5 years, I think. And if you look at it, I think the other day, like Alaska, 30 odd of them have played for Wales. You know, they will through the pyramid anyway. That will... that will happen, but that was great, and it was a good environment. You know, people like Cobner, who was sort of a mentor of mine, good old-fashioned values, if you like. You know, going back to you talk about Tredegar and Pontypridd and what have you. And I think the boys benefit from that type of. You know, I think I don't know because I'm not in the environment now, but I think it's a bit sanitized. The environment is now. Because it's all like, they're also union coaches, there's an academy run to it. Whereas I think maybe we were the last of a generation where, you know, we had our personalities as well. You know, Nicky Lloyd was in that as well. You know, Gethin Watts, you know, Dale McIntosh, you know, Darren Edwards, Mark Taylor, who did a bit in Aberavon. They're all different personalities that impact, and you forget how sort of how big an influence you can have on those young people.
Yeah.
You know, and I play for Wales. I think you're clever in Aberavon now that you know your branding is very good. Andrew will tell you, I'm sure, when I first went there, I said, I was real go at him about the website.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I did, you know, and he'll back me up on that. I used to think he was a little bit archaic, really, but you know, those boys, to see them going, and it's nice to, you know, shake your hands and, you know, say all the best, and, you know, people like George North and Bigger, and, you know, they were like, God knows how many caps, but they came along the same pathway, and I was fortunate in Aberavon that those boys would come in to that environment. You know, and it was the same back in Ponty. You know, like you remember a guy like somebody like Lockyer. Now, how we never played 150 regional games, I never know. I can't. You know, you got like Will Price here as well. You know, it's funny people find their levels, they find they and they're happy, but I think there are so many talented players in Wales who reach those levels. Now I think go back to the 18s when I said about those numbers. Maybe that pyramid now is putting them on to a higher stage, but I still think they need to play their club rugby because then they appreciate and will always remember where they come from. You know.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then with the 18s as well, again, going back to the people that trying to link it back to Aberavon, I remember you bringing on Rheon James as well, Dinkle. Yeah. And obviously he's still at the club as well, and he's pushing 260 games now for the club, you know. So
it's amazing, mate. It's just, you know, it's I take my hat off to him. You know, like I said with Dick Amidas when I went up there, I think it was about 350 games.
Yeah, that's such an achievement.
You know, I used to pick him in the centre in school.
He's fullback, wasn't he?
No centre. Oh. He scored. We went to South Africa and he scored 2 tries on Loftus Versfeld against the Young Bulls, and did that. His hand up diving under with the one, like his grandfather and his father crying in the bar after. But again, that's rugby, like that's what it's about. You win, you lose, you got to take it on the chin, like, and you know, get on with it. You still, and that's the beauty of, you know, I have mentioned I should, you know, Torney's my club, and going back in there with them, it's just such a, you know, you get a buzz of, you know, I can walk down there. I enjoy it. You know, Tatchell is a good coach. You know, Hawking was a good coach. You know, all these boys would, you know, Gareth Brown, they put say life and soul into it. You know, and without those guys, nobody comes through the system, like, you know, so it's important.
Lastly, Kingy, just touch upon the Neath and Aberavon derby, something that you would have been new to, same as me. It's not about me, but it was a different whirlwind for me, different rugby that was. So what was your early memories of it? And
well, I was always aware of what it meant. You know, you got to be, because, you know, I come from an era when there was a time when they used to play together against the All Blacks.
Yeah.
You know, and have massive crowds. And I loved, again, that's why you're in rugby, that's why you're in it. You're in it for those occasions. You know, I felt, I was so pleased we beat them over there. You know, I was so chuffed that we did that. And I was, I tell you a funny story. Around that time, we went over and we had to play Ospreys. It was Kai Griffiths, I think, and we had to put them on. And we conceded, this is a good story, we conceded a penalty try and they beat us in the, it was like a boxing day over there. They beat us at the end of the game. And we played really well that day. Ryan Bevan scored a good try and made a big break. And
I know.
And we should have lost right to the death. And I'd come down in the car with 4 boys from Tondy. And I was so pissed off that we'd lost. And they were in the pub outside the ground. So it was a busy Christmas. And they had 4 pints on the bar. And I'd driven the car down. And they phoned me and they said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in the car. If you're not here in 5 minutes, I'm going," I said. So they had to leave their beer. They left their beer. And I drove them back home because I was so disappointed we'd lost. That's a good story of how much it means to you, you know?
Yeah. Big crowd, I imagine.
And then when we won over there, it was brilliant. And the other one, was without wishing me, the other one that really sort of resonates is when Jamie missed the kick in front of the posts.
Yeah.
Oh my God, right?
You still remind him of it?
I still think they had his kids locked up somewhere. I I was going to jump off the top. I couldn't believe it.
Off the gantry.
But, like I said, we did beat them. And, the semi-final game when we should have had a penalty try. And remember he took Carter up and kicked through that boy. They had a boy who played for Wales, youngster.
Was it at Swansea?
The one in Swansea, yeah. No. Remember we run him close air as well, so... No. Yeah, I wasn't very enamoured with Patrick Hogan that day, but they're the memories you have, and it was a great, at the end of the day, we were sitting here talking, you played and you beat them, I coached them, we beat them, so that'll do for me.
Those games, I can remember snippets of those games, and I remember the one that you were alluding to, the one that Bennington and Kai Griffiths played in. Didn't Roy Gallagher get sent off right in the last?
Yeah.
I don't think that helped our cause. Yeah. And then the game that we beat them, Kipper, Kevin James got sent off, and you must have been rubbing your hands. But then Strongy got sent off, didn't he?
Yeah.
10 minutes after.
Yeah.
So, well, as a coach in the moment, what are you thinking?
Well, that shows the strength of character as well, man, at the time you think you're stupid, you do think that. Of course you do, But you've got to try to stay with them. Again, that's just credit to the boys, to go there, whatever level, wherever we'd gone, to beat them there was, and I always remember Steve Jones saying to me, thank you for the best Christmas present I've ever had.
Yeah, that's how much it means.
That's, somebody's come up with, remind me later. Yeah, you still there, Swank?
Yeah, I'm here. I still got you.
You probably lost me now, but if it sounds like I knew you, that's fine.
No, I still got you. If you've closed it down or something, I can edit this out, don't worry about it.
Right.
Can you see me or not?
That's all right. So I can't see you, but I see better.
Yeah, I can still see. I'll edit this bit out, because we were talking the other day with Chalky, actually, talking about you being a storyteller and the one-liners you had.
Yeah.
I'm a goon. It was bonfire night. And you said, goon has earned more money. I can't remember this.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember that, but funny.
Ready for the guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate, funny. Right. Let's get stuck into your Wizards 15.
I will.
Start at fullback.
Right then. My team is of the time I was there, right? So I'll do this. My fullback was Bamsey, right?
Yeah, nice.
Richard Carter on the one wing. I go Becky and Gaddy in the centre.
Nice.
Right? My left wing, right? Can I come back to my left wing?
Yeah, come back, bud. Come back.
I got Jamie Davis and Pritchard.
Yeah, nice. Great halfbacks.
Where we go now? Front row or back row?
Let's go front row.
Rheon, Mark Breeze, and Tony Edwards.
Oof. Nice.
Buddha and Gitz.
Gittins, yes.
Yeah, well, he was a good soldier for me. I picked you at 6.
6?
Yeah. Because I wrestled with this, but I thought pick a balance to do the job and lead us. Like, I put Tipperick at 7.
He's nipped me again.
Yeah, well, I did wrestle with it, but I think he was he's sort of he's a standout really to do what he's done, and he played. And then I got George at 8.
That's a great team, though, isn't it?
You asked me earlier about picking cup teams. Well, and I'll do it now because I wrestled. I put Ben John on a wing.
Okay.
All right.
Who else is there an option? And who are you talking about?
The option I had Chris Lewis, remember?
Yeah, Chris Lewis. Yeah. And
then I just want to ask you, Steph never played much for me, did he?
No, he was a Tom Mao boy then. When
well, I got a blank there.
You bought Steve Davis, Stella. Remember Stella?
Steve, yeah.
He was good, but those first 3 years he struggled with injury. Then, but afterwards,
put him in there.
He's changed it.
Well, you said what I was like with Steve. With Steve Jones. But yeah, let's start again.
Well, I can remember if someone were to ask me, Swank, can you pick Kingy's team? And that would pretty much be it. So, but I do have some talking points then. So I'll name some players where I thought maybe would have been in and around it.
Yeah.
Richard Thomas.
Yes.
There's Dickie T. I
got him here alongside Liam Gadd. I have got the list, yeah, but you can see that, can't you?
Ah, do you know what? That brings back memories of your team selections. That
you can see it. Like I did think about it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love seeing those team selections of yours, the initials.
Yeah.
So move it up a bit. Let me see your back. I can see your back line. Up a little bit. There you are. Okay.
You got it?
Yeah. So what made you choose? Why Gaddy over Dickie T?
Again, it wasn't a picture of him and Chalky, but I always thought he was, he was undervalued. But the one thing about Gaddy always, he undervalued himself, which was a shame. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
And I've had the privilege of coaching against him, Birch Grove,
Yeah.
And he beat Tondy, and it was nice. Again, as a coach, you see what he's doing there. They were well drilled, and not in it, but it's nice to see him move on. But he could also, he had a kicking game which we didn't see much of.
Mm.
He was bigger than you thought he was,
Yeah.
And I remember him scoring. This is a stupid one now. When we lost the semi-final against Cardiff, I remember him scoring a try at the end, which wouldn't have made any difference to the final score. And I can't remember the ref said he was in touch. Remember that?
I can't remember that, but
I can remember that now. I was gutted he didn't give that, but he read the game well. He was a talker, when he was on, Size as well, good size for it.
What about who's your loose head prop there?
Rheon.
All right, so
well, Rheon, up against Rheon, you got Chalky, you got Lloyd Owens,
exactly.
Footy, there's a, and the thing is about picking a side, and no excuses here. You've obviously done the flat 15. The 23 would be interesting as well now in the modern picking for a cup game. Yeah. I think you could pick a 23 that would beat any side in the Premiership.
Who there's obviously I'm back row, so I'm thankful for you choosing me there. But there's so many back rows that you've had. Trigger.
Well, you got Trigger. You got Nathan Brown.
Aaron Bray, because you had Aaron Bray with you back.
Aaron Bray was a terrific player. He went to live in France in a bakery. You got Strongy, like I said, Nathan Brown, Joe Tomalin-Reeves, Ben Thomas. Keep going. We've had some outstanding back row forwards there. Trig, I wrestled with Trig. I wouldn't want to wrestle with him, but
no.
he was a soldier. And again, he said, do you pick your teams? And if you think about it, if I'm going to Tredegar, I'm taking Trigger. That's non-negotiable. If I'm playing in the cup final on the stadium, then you have to, we played, but you have to think, get the balance right as well, and you think about the semi-final in the Liberty, when he was Arsenal yellow carded. Remember that? Remember that?
That's another semi-final, isn't it?
The semi, we lost the semi there, and
Carter scored 3 tries. How'd you lose that?
In the first half.
Jesus Christ! How did you lose that? I can't even remember. How would?
I wouldn't talk to the press.
I bet back then, or the media people had some fun with you anyway. Again, a one-line.
We lost to Llanelli in a playoff game, don't you? Remember that one?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was some game. That was like a set or whatever, don't you?
There was a brawl at the end of it, wasn't it? I'm sure.
Yeah. I think it was me and the reporter.
It wouldn't surprise me. Right, that's a great team. That is, like I said, it wouldn't be far off what I would have chosen.
Thank you for that.
I've got 3 questions now. These are set questions.
Go on. Yep.
What you have to choose? You can't mull around it. What would be your best memory at being at Aberavon? It doesn't have to be a rugby match. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Rugby specific. It could be anything at your time at Aberavon. What is your best memory? Tough one, I know.
It is tough, isn't it?
7 years.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Ups and downs. Or maybe, or if you can't do that, which I know is difficult to do, maybe share a couple.
No, I'll anything else.
Do you want to come back to that one?
Yeah, come on.
The second one is, who were you most nervous about playing against whilst at Aberavon, though? And and you could either say an individual, an individual player that really just you were weary of, or a team that you
I would say Pontypridd, because we were big competitors to them. There was a lot of mutual respect there, which I was pleased about. To earn their respect, and don't forget we did go up there and beat them up there. But it was like their midfield always, that worried me a lot. Was you had Lockyer, and you had
DC,
Adam as well.
Adam Thomas.
Yeah, they were always a threat because of the way Pontypridd play off 10, don't they?
Yeah.
And that was give and go forward. I always thought up front we could match most sides. I was never, I thought we could, I thought we could some sides as well, having Cardiff go to non-contested scrums against us.
Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah.
Ponty there in the midfield would have been the threat, yeah.
Okay, last question. We'll go back to the first one in a minute. Yeah. If you could do one thing different, if you had your time again at Aberavon, what would it be? So one thing you think, okay, I wish I had my time back for that reason.
Well, all I'm going to say is, I wish we'd won something. Is that right? I wish we were good enough to, we were good enough to win the league. Swank, really. I think we were. So I just think that decisions you and then, if we could have won the cup then,
Yeah.
I wish we could have done that. That would have been nice,
So I know we spoke about it at the beginning, but so okay, the cup final went the way it did.
Yeah.
So is there anything you would have done maybe as a coach differently in that game? Maybe not chosen certain players, or chosen certain players, or subs at different times? Is there something that you?
The thing is, you've got to be careful.
I know that it's a difficult question.
That resonates with me, and but I wouldn't want to say that because you'd end up undermining somebody else,
Yeah. Okay. Don't answer that. So maybe the build-up. Is there anything you thought? Okay, I could have changed that just to maybe make a little bit of difference to winning the cup. It's not a question to say that there was something wrong. Results are results, aren't they? Things. I definitely believe that decisions in the game lost us the game.
Yeah.
But anything that you thought you could have maybe done differently? I don't know. It's just a question, I guess. Really, I'm not trying to nitpick.
Yeah. Again, I thought we managed ourselves really well, Swank. I thought we a couple of decisions on it. Yeah. I said I watched the Ponty rerun of it.
That's a standard thing, though. No one ever covers Aberavon.
No, I think you've got to think we give it our best shot, and again, probably off record, I would tell you that maybe selection, it was possibly a difference we would have made, but, I thought, again, in that cup final, if you remember, the bench made a big impact.
Yeah.
That's probably where I'm going with that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's fine, the cup then. So let's get back to the first one. One of your best memories at the club at Aberavon. You're still struggling on that one, aren't you?
Yeah, 7 years is a long time, isn't it? We had some funny times, didn't we? We had some, we did, didn't we? Your best memory is going to be a happy memory, isn't it, really?
I'll tell you what, I'll share something with you, which is not rugby related.
Yeah.
I genuinely used to look forward to every single year the Player of the Year event and to your 10 minutes of your speech, because I genuinely thought it was incredible. I think, and so did everybody else.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was off the cuff because you had no notes, which is, I'm sure you had a plan in your head, but
yeah,
it was pretty special. Those 10 minutes, capping up the season, a few laughs and a few giggles in there for the supporters as well. Again, it's not rugby related, but
I think what you're saying, you made a good point there, because I think that it's probably the best club dinner I've ever been to, because of the job that Andrew and Meyer and the ladies all do. You know, it's terrific. And I think that, you know, the videos we put on, and, you know, it was such a well organised thing. So yeah, that would be my happiest times. There was the club being all together, to celebrate the efforts of the players. Because I think the point I always made then was it's all about the players, and that was a way for everybody to come together and, you know, pat you on the back. You know, and I've been through all this interview with you, know, and I haven't mentioned yellow paint once.
Do you know what, right? That didn't even cross my mind. Well, let's talk about it, because I genuinely didn't even cross my mind. I wanted to ask you about that. So that was mad. That was a mad time.
To me, it was. My old man always used to say to me, "Suffer fools gladly." By that he meant everybody got a voice. You know, and I feel the same. I mean, I think, because, you know, I watch Football Managers and everything like that, and I think, well, I was treated like that once. You know what I mean?
But that's, you know, you talk about Football Managers and stuff, you know, big Man United. This is happening at Aberavon. But on the building.
It makes you laugh as well, because it matters to people.
Yeah.
Which is great. But I was given the job, and if you have the job, then take the rough with the smooth. You know what I mean? You know, I remember checking the boys' fingernails for yellow paint. You had a laugh at me. You know, what else are you supposed to do?
There was, I think, you had left by then, but there was, it was a coincidence. Richard Thomas walked into the change room with yellow paint all down him.
But I knew he was in.
Well, first, I don't know if you want to answer this either, but do you ever suspect anybody, like, you know, at all involved in the club? Was there anybody you thought? I never,
to be honest with you, Swank, I know my heart, I never give it too much thought, because if you think about it, in a situation like that, you've got a lot of shit going on, you know, and that's the last of your worries, really. You know, I'd be more worried that somebody, again, off a record, you know, me and Callaghan had a few frank exchanges, you know that, he was there on one occasion, you know, but I didn't mind that, because that's face to face, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that whole concept is just ridiculous to me. I just couldn't believe it was happening. But there we are.
But again, you see the funny side, because, you know, I obviously drink in a local pub, and they used to have, you know, the Football Managers, the sack race.
Yeah.
I think in our week I went above Alex Ferguson our week.
No, it's mad.
Because our names were up. They would put your names up and down the board, you know.
Oh, brilliant.
So,
is there any put a bit of pressure on you now? Again, it wasn't a planned question, but is there any memory that you want to share, maybe, like, or of the players, a funny story or anything that is right at the forefront of your mind? If there's not, don't worry. Like, I just know that you're a good storyteller. The stories you say are good, but if there's nothing, fine. But I know it's off the cuff, and
I can share it. I mean, I'm embarrassed by this one, but it turned out to be. You know the story we were losing with Glamorgan Wanderers half time.
Oh God, no.
No, luckily we were losing to Glamorgan Wanderers half time. Remember when Chalky fucked up near the line trying to pick a ball up? Do you remember that?
You do have outstanding memory, fair play, but I don't remember that either.
He did. Right? It was like as a kick through, he went to dribble it, went to pick up, and I think his belly hit the floor first, and he fell over. Right? And we were half time. It turned out we won the game. But you know, as is my want, I went into the changing room. I opened the door, and the door opened off your left hand, and in front of me was the bin with all the strapping and the tape and the paper had been chucked in there. Yeah?
Yeah. And
I booted the bin, which exploded. Yeah? Paper went up in the air everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Closed the door, and Kate was sitting behind the door.
Oh.
That's true, right?
Oh, I think I remember. I think I remember now.
And I frightened her, which I didn't want it. I didn't know she was there, you know. And it took me, honestly, it took me months to get back on side with her. It took me months. But again, what I was pleased about is when Kate left the club, and she wrote to sort of a thank you to the club. she was very gracious to Nicky and me.
Yeah.
She'd enjoyed working with us. So I managed to win her round, but if she's listening, I apologise for kicking the bin and swearing. I didn't ring the door.
I definitely have so many memories, again, non-rugby stuff, because obviously I'm sure you remember more of that, but, you know, halftime speeches of yours.
Yeah.
I remember, I think the players and I still, you probably won't remember this either, but it was quite a running joke, actually. We were losing one game. Again, I don't remember the rugby stuff. I just remember you were angry. We were obviously losing, must have been, and there was nothing for you to kick, throw. There was this one paper cup, and you stamped on it so hard, and we were just like, oh. And it was quiet, it was dead. I guess that story doesn't resonate with you at all.
Well, there's probably too many of them, but I mean, I have, you know, you grow up and you go through, but I wouldn't change it because it's all part of you know what you do. And I think, you know, as a coach, you take on those lessons and people will learn from you. You know, and I think that's.
What I thought was really, really nice of you, actually, was you shook everybody's hands in the change rooms, win or lose.
Yeah.
Which I think would have been very difficult for you on a tough loss.
Yeah.
But, you know, as a person doing that.
Well, I think it's, you know, and to be honest, Ron, I still do the same thing. Mm-hmm. You know, I still do it in Tondi now, you know. Yeah. And they're very impressionable boys they are, you know, but good boys, you know, way off the levels of you boys, but heart and soul, you know, they put the jersey on and they give it a shot, and I thank them that they let me go and do it. You know, I enjoy that. That's I miss it as well, Swank. You know, that's the thing with this time of year. Something to do, you got to get up and do it, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. I'm pretty sure you're missing it more, being away from it before COVID, etc. But yeah, it's tough. Really is tough. But there we are. That's it. Is what it is.
Best wishes to everybody, but and
we'll catch up. It's been an absolute pleasure, Kingy, for jumping on board with us for an hour. I enjoyed that hour. It's good to catch up with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Take care, mate. All the best.